Okay, guys, so I'm back again. We had a bit of a false start, but you know what? Second time is the charm. So, for all those of you who were already on the other call, I hope you come right back because I have a very special guest tonight. And that is my dear friend Sangeetha Menon, who I am going to request. Now, let's hope you join. Let's come on, guys. Fingers crossed. The power of everybody's fingers crossed. And I'm going to start turning other things on mute. Yay!
Oh my God, I freaked out. Oh my God.
No. I mean, no reason to, but I could feel your panic. I could feel the panic vibes coming from your house to mine. So,
because
no,
you
I
know
mean,
me.
yes, I do know you, and I'm so excited to introduce you to everyone who's on the call today. I was even willing to let you change from your private account to your public account, and I was like,
Yeah.
I hate myself. I was like, no.
No, but I'm
glad.
from my private account, right?
You are from your private account. I figured out there was a glitch. And I fixed it. So yeah, it's been one year of lockdown has done this to me. I am my own tech support. I am my own creative graphic designer. I'm my own everything. So, okay, so we have a ton of people who were there on our false start call earlier, which I have a copy of, just by the way, just in case. So, I'm going to redo the intro just because we have a bunch more people join us just now. So, I was just telling everyone how you and I have been friends for several years now. We've taken a vacation together, a very memorable one. And that I told them that we went to Bangkok, but what happens in Bangkok stays in Bangkok. So, none of that. But what they will get to hear, and I told them that I've been very privileged to be your friend and that you're one of the most empathetic and empathetic people, prolific writer, and has done all that and so many more things. So, but I didn't want to give it away. So I said that we had chatted earlier on the phone and that we had promised to let it all come out together, so me and everyone on the call can hear about your journey towards, embracing identity, being a writer, being your authentic self. And I don't think you need me to backseat drive you anymore. So I'm going to just go ahead and hand it over, guys. Sangeetha is here to share her story. So yeah, let's take this from the top. Like, how did all this start for you?
For writing. I think, but just quickly before starting, I just want to say, Anjali, it's so good to see you, first of all. And I don't know if I'll get to say this to you in person anytime soon, but congratulations on Wharton. I'm so proud of you. You're doing amazingly well. I can't tell you how happy it makes me just to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. See, guys, I told you. I was just mentioning earlier saying that you support your friends so much and that you've supported me immensely. And now you just came out and said this, and I'm just like, thank you so much. I know you have been cheering for me the whole time. And I felt it because we've at least on social been, sharing comments and all of that. Thank heavens for social media. Imagine what would happen otherwise.
Yeah.
But let's have all of you. We've been waiting.
Yes. Okay, so here's the thing with writing. The thing is, I've always known I've liked writing ever since school. So I used to be I was like a nerd in school. I was that front bench girl who would like raise her hand for every question that was asked, and like I was that kid. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and I have this memory of like really enjoying writing my English exams, which might sound very strange, but I really did. And I used to find, and we used to have like language 1, language 2. So even for English, it was like 2 papers. And I distinctly remember enjoying writing like those papers, especially like the essays and stuff. Like it used to be like a lot of fun for me, and I used to find it very therapeutic. So I always knew I liked writing, and I used to occasionally like write for the school magazine and stuff. But I never thought I was any good at it. Like I was like, okay, I'm good in an academic sense for like school and all. Like I'm clearing my exams, whatever. Yeah, like I'm decent, whatever. But I never thought that, I could be good at it in a way where other people are like, like this is good content or whatever. So I kind of left it at that. And I moved on into college. And again, over there, it was the same thing, like magazines, journals, whatever. Like it was more academic writing, which I was doing. And all that.
But that wasn't your focus in school, right? Like you
No.
actually went a traditional path. So I
Yeah.
was hoping like you could
Oh
definitely
yeah,
let us
sure,
know
sure, sure.
like
Of
where this
course.
has come from.
Of course,
Because
yeah.
that's the
So,
challenge which most of our like readers, followers, everybody, everyone wants to do something, but they
oh
end up
yeah.
doing what they're supposed to
Yeah.
do. So
Okay. So I think coming, so also because I think I was so like nerdy and like studious, and I don't know, I think I had all sorts of like plans when I was like, I had like a 10-year plan when I was 17. I'm not kidding. Like, I was so clear because I was doing commerce with business math in school, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna do BCom, and I wanted to do CA and then go get an MBA, and then like I was like, okay, like maybe I'll join like consulting or like join like my family business or something like that. That was literally
right,
my plan. And I was like, okay, by
right.
like 27, 28, I'll be set. Like that was literally like my trajectory of thinking.
Hmm.
And I feel like to a degree that was also because I feel like when you're really young, especially in school, and you're quite impressionable, and that's when, you get influenced also pretty easily by a lot of things. I feel like for me, I was like, people kind of showed me what success looked like. So I was like, yeah, this is what success looks like for me. This is what it should look like. I never actually thought for myself like, oh, what does it actually look like for me, not in a general societal way of like, oh, this is the standard for success. If you're
I'm gonna push
successful,
you a little bit
yes,
here
yeah, for sure.
because you're just like you said, impressionable and influenced a lot by what people think around you. Would you like to elaborate
Yeah, not about me, I think just generally about what success was at that
about
age.
what success is?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just like yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, because I think, see, even at home, because and the thing is, I don't think like in an Indian family setting also, for most of us, it's never about like, I think they're finally looking at security, right? Like what makes you, like what is going to secure your future,
right,
regardless of whether it makes you happy or not. And see,
absolutely.
yeah, so I think that's kind of where it comes from. And see, there's nothing wrong with that, because I get it. Like, as parents and as family members, they're all just looking out for you, like, okay, this is like a good route to go, this is like a safe route, this is, you'll be like secure, you'll be independent, all that. Like, you don't really think of things you don't know, because if there's something unknown, first of all, it's scary because you have no idea. There's no experience, there's no, like, they're like, oh, I don't know, this doesn't seem very secure, I don't know if this is going to be right for my kid or for me, so like, let's not go there. So I was
And
always
you're an
pushed.
only child, right? So
Yes, I
I
am.
just want to put context here.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's
yeah,
just usually when when siblings have gone before and done a
yeah.
bunch of stuff, parents tend to be a little more flexible.
I
But yeah, no, I hear you. Please
I
go
mean,
ahead.
I don't, yeah, maybe, I don't know. So, yeah, I think, yeah, and like especially my father's like super protective, as you know. He's extremely, like, I think like all fathers are. But yeah, I think my mother's literally the more chilled out one. She's like sitting right here listening to me say this. But yeah. But
Hi,
no,
Auntie.
she's literally like, please don't say anything. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, I think even for me it was that, because I come from like a business background family, so it was like, okay, this is the route, we know this, why don't you try, like, because we can guide you better, like, and you have the
Right.
aptitude for it. And like, the thing is, I was good with like math and accounts and stuff, so like I knew I had the aptitude for it. So I was like, yeah,
Sure.
this makes sense for me, to do this. So even in
Right.
college, I did BCom, and I was in the afternoon class, like, because they had morning shift and evening shift, so I was in the afternoon, so I
Did you
could
were
like
you
do.
did you go to Chennai? Did you study in Chennai? Because
Yes, I
I
studied in
I know, but we have lots of people on the call who
Yes,
don't.
of course,
So
yeah. So I studied in MOP Vaishnav. For context, I did the BCom Accounting and Finance course,
okay.
afternoon shift. So the idea of doing the afternoon shift was that I could do CA classes in the morning and then attend class in the
Right.
afternoon.
Makes sense.
And I realized while attending those classes, I hated it. And I really, like, I was like, oh my God. And the more I spoke to people like in my department, and others who were pursuing other professional courses, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if this is what I want to do with my life. Like, this doesn't sound like me, in any capacity. And I mean, it's been years, but I think I think my father already knows this, but I never studied for the CPT finally, so I could like not clear. And I was happy I didn't clear, because because I was like, there's no way because I knew if I cleared the CPT, I would be like pushed to do the inter, and I was like, I don't want to do that. So I was like, oh, I'm not studying. and I took the exam and I didn't clear. So that's kind of how I evaded it. Um, and yeah, and then I kind of just went ahead enjoying like college. I used to do like a lot of extracurricular activities. I was like on student council, clubs, all that. Because I always like I've never, even though yeah, I was like studious and stuff, I liked extracurriculars in the sense of joining like student clubs and stuff, which I used to do in school as well, like with debate or theater or whatever. So those were things I genuinely like really liked. And
Yeah.
I remember like even in school that used to be like I feel like anyone who likes more than one or two things is suddenly like, oh, like where like what are you doing? Like there's this look
Yeah.
like you know,
Yeah.
and I feel like I did get that quite a bit at some points. But I mean it was what it was. And I remember initially because I used to feel a little judged, I never used to give away too much about like,
Right.
oh, you know, like I would like keep it low, or I wouldn't like talk much, or I just be like, yeah, like I'm studying, I'm doing this, that's it.
Sure.
You
Sure.
don't need to know anything more about my interests.
Sure.
So yeah, so I think college also kind of happened like that, and writing was nowhere in the scene, to be honest. Like no
Because I
one
remember
knew.
you being always being very initiative led. You've always like jumped into things, at least in the context that I've known you, like,
Yeah.
planning this and doing that and,
Yes.
always wanting to be the first one to volunteer, which is a great quality. But
Yeah.
I completely understand in terms of like, if you can just share a little bit more as we go along, like about,
Hmm.
feeling judged by others, because I think that's really
Yeah.
important. And that's something that
Of
people
course.
deal
Oh
with
yeah.
quite a bit.
I my first memory of being judged was in school, honestly, because I remember like I must have been in the second or third standard, and like my mother or someone got me like an encyclopedia, and I devoured it. And we used to have like these general knowledge sessions in like those younger classes.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
used to know like answers, and I remember like I don't know from where it was coming from the other kids, if it was like spite or like, oh, like don't be such a know-it-all. Like, why do you know so much? Like I think that was the first time I was like, I was really like, do I need to like dumb myself down? That was the first time I was
Mm.
like, oh, maybe I need to pretend like I don't know that much. That was the first time I clearly remember, and I think that carried on with me for a while, because I was like,
Absolutely.
yeah, because I was like, oh, okay, it's not cool to like know so much. And I don't know, somewhere maybe it also has to do with the fact because I'm a girl. I really
Yeah,
don't know. There is that gender bias for some strange reason. Like, oh, like,
definitely.
like, oh, like the guy will know more, you don't know that much, like don't say anything. Like, so like I very clearly remember like purposely like fitting into those societal norms, because I was like, okay, I don't want drama, let's keep the peace, like all that. But yeah, you know
I
where
know a
I'm
lot about
coming
that.
from.
I know a
Yeah.
lot about that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so
So, can you take us through, like, yeah, so you were telling us about your undergrad. So, that's obviously
yes.
the time when you're really developing as a human being, but also
Yes.
facing the most amount of conflict
Oh yeah.
internally and externally. So,
So I think college is where I really like my confidence grew, because I wasn't a very confident person in school, because for me it was like I was doing well academically, but that was about it. I didn't have anything else. Like I wasn't like one of those popular kids, like, oh my God, like, who has like like I was just studying, doing my thing. And, thank God, like in high school is when I got like my close group of friends. I think that is what kind of kept me also like a bit sane and stuff. So, shout out to them. We're
yeah,
still friends. I know them since kindergarten. So I'm like blessed. I really am.
sure.
So yeah, I think that's where I started forming my personality. And oh my God, this was like another like funny, I don't know if this is funny or this is just sad, but when I was like,
Do tell.
yeah, when I was like, so also for the longest time, I never thought I was like good looking. I was just like, yeah, I'm just the studious kid. Yeah, I don't. Anjali, you know this. Like, I really, like, I know the viewers don't know this, but you know this.
The viewers, I know this, and I happen to think you're beautiful, and I'm like, I absolutely, and I'm always, everybody should know this. I envy your hair constantly. I'm
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
it's so long. Mine just refuses to grow, and I'm just
It
like,
is,
how?
it's genetics and Malayali blood. Let's leave it at
That
that.
too, that too. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, I remember when I was like 18, someone called me pretty for the first time in my life. And that was like a shock for me, because no one had ever till that point used this adjective for me. Ever. Because it was always like, oh, you're smart, you're like intelligent, you're studious, you're this. So I was used to that, and I was like, okay, yeah, like now this is what my this is me defined as a person now. Okay, like I can't be anything outside of this. And then yeah, so basically, so I remember someone called me like pretty, and I remember coming home and looking at myself in the mirror for a good 10 minutes, and I was like, I don't see it. I still look the same. What are they talking about? So
But did you feel like that helped? Did it sort of open something up for you?
Yeah, it did, because I think I started looking at myself in a different way. I was like, oh, like people can look at me like this also. This was a different, thing. And I was like, oh, okay, this is, I guess, something new. And I was like, fine, whatever. But I had a lot of issues with, I think, dealing with image for a while, which carried on through college, honestly speaking. And yeah, so like I was doing a lot of extra, like I said, a lot, and I was in an all girls college, so like there was no
Did you
way I
feel
was
like a lot of pressure, like to look a certain way? Like
in
was
school,
that
yes.
it? Was it
In
like,
school,
yeah?
yes. In school, yes, I did. In college, not so much, because I think what happened was by the time I reached college, I also reached like this. I don't know if self pity is the right word for this, but like I think I was fed up. I was like, I'm so tired of trying to kind of please everyone to look a certain way. Like it was that.
Sure.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to put in any effort. I'm just like going to like be like, I'll dress however I want. I don't care. And which was basically me not putting in any effort in dressing up. Like I'm very lazy when it comes to like dressing up. So then,
I think you have your own style, which is very you. Like it's very like nobody can rock those earrings. That is for sure. I
see,
can
I wore
imagine
earrings
if
today
I wore
just for you.
it's not just for me. Every time I've seen you, there's always like a statement earrings going on. If I wore something like that and went somewhere, my dad will be like, "What is wrong with you?" But see how the dad comes up. Yeah, he'd be like,
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, where's the occasion?"
I hear you.
But yeah, but I hear you. I hear you. So college. You were just like, okay, I'm just gonna do my thing and like whatever,
Yeah, so
balls to
I
the
was
world.
exactly. I just did like so. I was in council. I co-founded like debate club with like another friend. So I was doing like a bunch of those things, and actually, very interestingly, writing was in the picture for like a very brief moment. And the reason I want to mention this story is because it connects very beautifully to a later part of my life.
Lovely.
So yeah, so interestingly, I had a lot of friends from other departments. That's like
Sure.
I interacted more with people from other departments. So I knew this girl from one of the other departments, and they used to have these events internally for the juniors and stuff. And they were doing they were doing some essay writing event or whatever. And she just casually came up to me and she was like, would you like to judge this event? And I was like, what? She's
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah. So I was like, are you joking? She's like, no, seriously, like, do you want to do it? So I said, and the main reason I agreed was because like I would get like on duty, I'd get attendance and I wouldn't have to attend class. That was my main reason for doing it. But no, it was fun and there was some really good piece of work. I clearly remember this because I had a hard time judging that competition. But yeah, I mean, so that was like a small thing that happened. And yeah, whatever, that also went. And then soon college got done. And finally I went to Hult, Boston. That again happened by chance. I just happened because I needed an extra year of education in case I wanted to go back to the US to study. So
Right.
I was like, what can I do? And it just so happened I heard about this college.
And this was a 1-year program?
This was
This
a
was a
1-year
one-year
program.
program? Okay.
Yeah. So I happened to apply and I got like a Path scholarship. So everything like worked pretty well. So I was like, yeah, like let me just take it up and go. And again, like I went there and I think that experience really opened me up because you're meeting people from so many different cultures and,
Sure.
from so many different places in the world. And I think that trip really like just opened my eyes to so many things. And like, it gave me exposure to like a lot of different perspectives. And I think that was it was very enlightening. And I think I really
And what were you studying there, if I may ask? Just
Yeah,
to kind of
sure.
understand if
Yes,
like where,
of course.
yeah.
So I studied a master's in international business. That's what I did.
Okay.
So yeah, and
So you
while
were
I was
still
there,
following the straight and narrow.
yeah, I was still there. But again, over there, I did a lot of extracurriculars because that's just me. So I was in the performing arts club. So I
Nice.
was heading that, and I was in like a think tank. I was handling their debate section there. So these were like a couple of things I was like juggling around. And yeah, like that went, and I knew, but also I think like towards the second half of when I was in Boston is when I that feeling of that existential crisis started to set in. Like it's like, okay, now where am I going with my life? What is happening? And it was a bit hard because that was also when I lost my grandmother like earlier that year. So there were a lot of things that kind of just were playing on my mind because I there was a lot of like self guilt because I was like I wasn't there, like with my
And you were very
parents.
close to her, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
I was.
So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
she's the one who actually in a way I kind of owe my writing, the whole writing thing to her because she's the one who inculcated the habit of reading in me when I was really young. So in a way, I think she is responsible for why I write and why I enjoy words so much. But yeah, so I think there was just a lot in that sense, like playing on my mind. Like, oh, I wasn't there. Like, Ramuma, unfortunately, passed away, and what's happening with my life, where is my life going. So there was a lot, and I was like, and I was deciding, I was like, okay, should I stay back in America, should I come back to India? And finally I just decided to come back because I was like, okay, maybe I'll go back home, I'll work for a few years and then figure, like what we'll see, we'll go with the flow. So
Yeah,
I
because I
came.
have a very typical B school kind of question to ask you because around this time when you were having your existential crisis, when everyone is recruiting, right?
Yeah.
So, and thinking about the next. So, how did you deal with that like conflict? Because all your classmates are like, what's next? What's next? And, from my understanding, everybody goes the consulting route or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So,
So I gave it a lot of thought, and I sat in on all those like counseling sessions they have, like career counseling and everything.
sure, sure.
And and I was like, I think I'd be more comfortable going back home and then
Going back home.
figuring like what like next steps, and then figuring if I want to like go like come
Sure,
back abroad or whatever. That's what I did.
sure.
And I did like briefly work on a consulting project when I was there. Like, so I worked as a part of like college curriculum. Like I worked on like a renewable energy project in consulting,
Nice,
which
nice.
was like something I would have never imagined doing, but it was
No.
a very like it was a very like interesting and and quite an enjoyable experience, I must say. So like I decided to come back to India. I came back to Chennai, and the thing is, I was like, okay, let me take some time off to just figure.
Can you
And
tell me which year this was, just
yeah,
so we have like a timeline?
this is the end of this was 2015 August or September. I
Nice.
came back, and I was like,
Gotcha.
okay, let me take some time off and figure like what I want to do. So then I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
maybe like I want to get into like policy or something like that. That's because I knew I had an interest in that. So then I started applying to all these like think tanks and like various jobs. It was like around that. And I think that was the first time in my life I faced rejection, and I did not handle it well at all. And I was 22. Imagine not getting rejected for 22 years of your life, and then suddenly one fine day
Yeah.
someone's like, no, we can't take you, and it's like, oh, okay. And I
Yeah.
did not deal well with it at all. Oh my god, it was bad. Like I think I was also very entitled, I must say, because I was so used to like, no, I really do, and I admit it, like I was like, because I think I was so used to getting things till that point, and finally when I did it, like for the first time, when you don't, it's almost like it's quite shattering. Like it really was for me, and it took me some time to like process and get over, and then you start asking yourself questions like, oh my god, am I not smart, am I not like the things people define me as, am I
Right.
not those things? And if I'm not that anymore, then what am I?
What?
It's honestly quite scary. Like I really went through a whole myriad of like emotions and things, and I remember it was getting like really bad, and to the point where I started like isolating myself. like i I was getting into this whole depressive phase, and I wasn't going out, I wasn't meeting anyone, and was like this for a few months. It's not like this was for a few days, so it's for a few
Yeah.
months. And then I think finally like my parents were like super concerned, and my father just kind of jumped in, and he was like, why don't you just join office? And he's like, you join, you see, then you figure like what it is you want to do. And I didn't feel like it, but then I was like, okay, fine, like I have nothing to lose, like let me
Can I
just do
ask
it.
a question real quick before we? So, was there any of the things that you applied to that you were super passionate about that didn't happen, which is why you felt so crushed, or it was in general just the fact that it wasn't working out?
Yeah,
Was there
general,
anything
it
that you
wasn't
had your
working out.
heart set on that didn't work, or just in general, कि नहीं हो रहा है type?
It was a general thing because because I didn't realize how difficult it was, to like apply for a job and like get one. And then when I was
Right.
actually doing it, I was like, oh my God. So it was like, then that's why I said there was a lot of self-doubt after that. Like, oh my God, like, am I not smart? Am I not good? Like, is there a problem with me? That's literally what I was going through. And then, like, I'm very thankful my parents were like super supportive at that time. And I think my father showed like the smarter thing of like being like, okay, just join work and we'll see where it goes. And
Yeah,
I
because
joined.
if I may just interrupt, we have somebody who's on the chat who joined in the middle who just wants to know what we're talking about. So, my dear Mr. GK, I'm answering this question for you. I usually never answer questions in the middle of a live, but I'm just letting you know that this is my dear friend Sangeetha Menon, prolific writer, wonderful
Oh my
human
God.
being, and is telling us about her journey, about how she embraced her identity through writing. But what I'm loving is that she's sharing her real stories with me and you guys, of course, which is the most authentic part of why I do what I do. So yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Please
No,
go ahead.
of course. So, yeah, I think it was just this general feeling of being crushed and whatever. And I think my father showed like
So he was just
some.
trying to get you out of the house. Would you feel like
Yeah,
that was just
he
kind
was
of
just
like
trying to
start?
get me out of this whole zone of like, because I was not very nice to be around. If you met me at that point, Anjali, I don't think you'd want to be my friend. Like, who is this sad person who is sitting here? I feel like that's what you would say. It was that bad.
Oh my god, that sounds brutal, but okay.
I,
I
I
doubt
really
it.
feel
But
I really feel like you would say that. Oh my God. But yeah, so I started going to office, but the thing is, like, I was going and I was working, but I felt really numb about the whole thing. Like, it was like, yeah, I'm waking up every day, I'm going to work, and then I'm coming back, but I wasn't happy. I didn't feel anything for that matter. It was a very strange stage where I think I was just really numb to a lot of things. Where I wasn't like
wow.
sad, but I wasn't happy. It was really bad. Like, and like I remember like my mom, like Amma and all was like super concerned. She's like, oh my God, like what is happening? But yeah,
Yeah.
it went on, and I remember like my health also started deteriorating because of this. Because I think I was in like such a depressive zone, you were talking about my hair, right? I had like terrible hair fall, like clumps of hair, like hair was like
Would you
it,
say that's stress related or just
it
mental?
was, yeah. I think it was a combination of stress and just general not feeling happy, and
Yeah.
I was losing like a lot of weight for like, and I was,
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, and on top of that, I was stress eating, but I wasn't putting on weight. I was losing weight, which was like one very weird thing. And I remember
I wish that happened to me. I know that sounds very twisted, but I'm just like, God, can that happen to me? But please.
oh my God, but
No,
you're
but that does
perfect just
sound
for you.
worrisome. But that
No,
sounds worrisome,
no,
though. Like,
it
the
was.
hair fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, this is the first time I mean, this is the first time I'm publicly talking about it, but it's true. Like, so, and I remember one day in like 2000, like towards the end of 2016, I just remember like I had enough. Like, I was like, I'm done being so sad in life. I think I finally reached that stage because I think it was the hair fall that real, because that was like physical, like I was seeing. And I was like,
Yeah.
I really need to start getting my shit together. That was, I think, the moment I was like, okay. So then I remember entering 2017. I was like, okay, I need to start making some changes. So I started like exercising. I started working like at home, like normal. Like I started taking care of myself. I went to the doctor. I showed like my hair and everything, and she gave me like vitamins or whatever. And like I was doing one whole ritual for that. And then and then I was like, okay, you know what? First things first, I need to start making myself happy again. That's the first thing I need to do. So I was like, okay, like, what is it that I've always wanted to do and I've never really gotten a chance to do? And that's when I was like, hey, how about I start music class? Like, I start going, and I was like 24 at this point. And I was like, oh, okay, why don't I start going for like music classes? And I remember telling, and I went and I found out about this place and all that, and I told my parents, and I remember both of them looked at me like, what? what are you saying? Like, my father was like, wait, you want to go learn singing? Like, from where? And I told him.
Oh, and you don't have a background in traditional or Carnatic
No,
or classical or any
nothing.
of that.
Nothing.
Oh my God.
Listen,
Because
I learned
usually we all get sent to Carnatic when we're like kids. Okay, that's what
I
happened
learned
to me.
Bharatnatyam for 5 years when I was a kid, and I hated it. I did not
Yeah.
like it. This was my mother's
Gotcha.
idea of like making me feminine, I guess. I don't know. Because I don't know what it was. Because she was like, okay, go for Bharatnatyam because you have the feet of a dancer. I was like, I don't know where you're getting this from.
Oh my God. Except that I hear it makes your butt really big. So you know what? I think you just dodged a bullet there. So
But yeah, like I learned Bharatanatyam for 5 years. And I never enjoyed it. And I was like, I'm not doing this. So finally, I was like, oh, and I wanted to learn piano when I was in school. And for some strange reason, my mother thought I was I was just joking about it. So yeah, it was very weird. But anyway, so coming back, I was like, okay, let me do music. And I told my parents, and my father was like, he just looked at me and he was like, what, where do you want to go do it in Chennai? And I told him about like this, school and everything. And first he was like,
Is it KM Conservatory that you go to?
no, not KM. So I used to go to this place called Academy of Western Music. It used to be on Santom.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they closed, but I still go to this.
Okay.
I still go to the same mentor because he still takes classes. So I do virtual
Gotcha.
classes now because pandemic.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's where. And I remember, like, the thing is, they were one of like the top schools at the time. After KM, they were like one of the best.
I do remember because that's when you and I were like talking and you said that you were very passionate about your classes.
Yeah.
You have a very big fan in the crowd called Nikhil Vijay Menon. Do you know this
Yeah,
person?
he's a childhood friend. Please give him no attention because he just
Yeah, no, he's very I mean he's a very, very enthusiastic chap, I must say.
Yeah, which is why I'm ignoring his comments.
Okay. Please go ahead.
But yeah, so the thing is with Academy of Western Music, you have to audition before and they have a wait list and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so and it was really, and I still remember when I made the phone call and they were like, oh, okay, ma'am, everything. And they were like, who is this for? And I was like, it's for me. They were like, oh, how old are you? And they were like, oh, how old are you? And I was like, 24. And they were like, oh, okay, because everyone there is like 13, 14, 6, 7, 8. Like, it's a proper school like group that's there, okay?
Yeah.
So they were just like, oh, okay. And so I went, I gave the audition. And then I got a call after like a week and they called me and they were like, we'll put you on probation for a month and then we'll see. Yeah. They were like, yeah, we think you have like a sense of rhythm, but like they were like, see, you're not like good like the other students, but we think you have like a sense of rhythm. And so they were very honest with me. Listen, I was terrible.
Oh my God.
I was terrible when I started. Listen, my music teacher, like really, like he tells me till today, the first 1 year I learned with him, he was like, Sangeetha, I honestly had no faith that you would improve because my pitch was like all over the place. But I really put in the work, man. I would practice every day, like, the songs and everything. Because I was like, I really want to do this. And also because I was genuinely like, I was enjoying those classes, like to the fullest. I was so happy. And like,
which is like huge from the previous sort of long-standing episode of feeling like sad and down on yourself. This is like a huge shift. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I was just like, and I loved, and it used to be so funny. And I think because I was like this 20-year-old, like 24-year-old, and everyone else is like 13, 14. Like my classmates were like that old. And I remember the first time when I walked into class, they all just looked at me like what? And I think they all thought I was in college. And then when they found out how old I was, it was like, it was quite funny. But then I think,
did anyone ask you if you were the teacher?
No, thank God. Like, no. I wouldn't be surprised, but no one did. Thank God. So and like 3 years, and finally they had like we got to perform and stuff. So that was the first time I got like officially perform on stage for something, which was great, and that was fun. Um, and yeah, so that like it's been 4 years now, and I love music, and it's been great. And touch wood, like I'm happy that I get to do it. And I've been taking the Trinity College exams, which is something I never thought I would do. So like I do the Trinity College Rock and Pop exams. I've cleared like 4 levels. I'm hopefully taking my 5th level soon, but yeah. So that's been
We're,
good.
oh, we're dying to hear about your writing journey.
Yes, of course. And 2017 was also when I started my blog, finally in like June. And and I remember.
And this is the Moody Marshmallow. This is the Moody Marshmallow. This is Marshmallow Musing. So I just remember that I know a bunch of stuff, but the listeners don't. So
Yes.
you definitely need context.
Of
Go ahead.
course, of course. So in 2017 June, what happened was, I was going through like I was having a really bad week, I think at work or something, because I distinctly remember waking up on.
And you were still at your working
Yes.
at doing the
At my
daddy's
family
idea.
business. Yeah,
Okay.
I was working there, and I remember like I was very frustrated, and I just woke up like one morning. It was like a Monday or Tuesday or something. I just opened my laptop, opened a Word document, and I just started typing. And I didn't even know what I was typing. And before I knew it, I had my first poem there. And it literally,
Wow.
that's literally what happened. That's how it's like, I literally just, because I was so irritated, I was so frustrated. I was like, I need to like get it out of my system. So like my laptop was lying right there. I just went and I started typing. And I didn't know what I was typing, but I just needed to get something out. And that's how my first poem, and it's called Expectation, which was really funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was
I'll
the
definitely
first.
share a link to all of your writing, so I'll
Of
post it with
course.
the video.
Oh,
I'm sure tons of people would love to read it.
Definitely. So that's how my first poem was born. And I was contemplating. I was like, should I?
What did you think of it after? Like when you were done writing, what did you think? Did you just feel it was like a journal entry? Did you feel it was like an actual poem? Did you feel like you had created something, or were you just like kind of okay? Was it just something that occurred?
It was very cathartic. I don't know. I just felt very like good to let it out. I think for me that was the first thing. Like, oh my God, it's like out. Like it's out of my system. It's like on something else. And then when I read it, I was like, oh, did I just write a poem? Like that was my first thought. I was like, oh, did I just write a poem? So then I was like, should I put this up? Should I not? And I remember I sent it to like 1 or 2 friends. They were like, oh, this seems nice and everything. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just put it up. And then I went to WordPress and I created a blog. And that was how the mood
WordPress
was gone. And my first poem went up. So that's literally, and I shared it, and it seemed to get a good response. But me being me, I was like, no, these are just people who know me. They're being nice. They're just like,
that's okay. You. That is you. That's a Sangeetha moment right there. Right there.
Yeah. This is I was like, like they're just being nice. Okay, yeah, fine, whatever, bye. So that's how. So I started, and then I started writing more, but I wasn't sharing my work. Because I was like, I don't know if people are actually interested in reading what I'm putting out. Right. So I would like very sporadically like post pieces, like once in a couple of months, I would, put stuff up. So, and this continued, and this was like 2017, and this continued till like 2019. And during this period was when I left my family business. And I was like, okay, like it was 2017 to 2018 was a very interesting period, if I must. You were there, but
I was there, but nobody else knows.
For the viewers, coming back to the viewers, I think this is when I started getting more clarity on things. Like I was like, okay, I'm not really happy with where I am. I think I need to now move out, get some perspective, and see what it is that I want to really do with my life right now. So that was like the time where I was like, okay. And I think that was also the time I think I learned a lot about myself like through friendships and, whatever. Like, I think there were a lot of people who came into my life at that point. And I think I learned a lot about placing boundaries and figuring out what kind of people to let into my life, honestly speaking. I think that was like a huge thing.
Huge topic, boundaries. We
Yeah,
could do an
boundaries.
entire episode on
Oh,
boundaries. I'm
we
just
could.
putting a
Oh my God,
we
I'm
could.
so down. Let's do it.
Yeah. We're doing an episode on boundaries.
Yeah.
Pinning that right here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You and I could, yeah, really
You
pin
and
that.
I could do. Yes. Go ahead.
But yeah, so I think that was like a huge like year for me in that sense, where I think I just learned a lot about myself and like, you know, things I was okay with, things I wasn't okay with, and placing boundaries, all that. And I was like, okay, I need to kind of be more proactive with my life, to like take charge. And I was like, I really need to start taking charge now, because if I don't, I'll constantly be blaming someone else for the way my life turns out. And that's when I decided to leave. And I took like leave the step back from the family.
Was that hard?
Yeah, it was. I mean, of course it was a bit difficult, but I mean, I think like they were very understanding at that point, so it was good. And I think thankfully I did have like a plan in terms of like what I wanted to do, because I knew like I had an inclination towards law, but I wasn't sure how serious I was about it. So then I was like, okay, let me try taking the company secretary classes and maybe working in that field and seeing, because that I thought that would be like a good introduction and segue into like seeing like.
And you already had the accounting background, so that must have helped in some sense, right?
Yes, it did. Oh yeah, it did. It definitely did, because I understood like the math part of things in a way. Like when they were talking about accounts and stuff, like I understood like, okay, yeah, this is what it is. So I took like CS classes, and then I started working in another company. So I was working at Morgappa for like a couple of months. I was in their secretarial and legal department, and I really liked the work there. Like I was like, okay, I like the subject, I like what I'm doing, this is like really nice. And I was like, maybe I could think about this seriously. And I took the CS exams that I studied, but I didn't clear. But yeah, so I was like, okay, fine. Then I remember I was having a conversation with someone, and they were like, why do you want to do CS? Why don't you just seriously like go for law? And I was like, maybe that's true, that's a fair point. So and surprisingly, I knew a lot of people who are lawyers, and like I had a lot of friends who are. So I spoke to them, and they connected me with people, and I just wanted to like know more. And I was like, okay, fine, why not? And I actually sat and I did the research, and I was like, okay, finally I decided, I was like, I'll go to Bombay, I'll study, and I'll work on the side. Because you could do 3-year courses, and all the classes were like morning classes, so I'd have the rest of the day free. And I knew people who had like studied and worked simultaneously in their 20s who had gotten like law degrees and stuff. So I was like, okay. So I was like, this is something I could definitely look at. And I was like, it means I can. And I was like, oh, I'd have to move away from home, which I think is a good thing for me right now. Because I was like, I think I'm ready to kind of fly out in a sense. So I was like, maybe this would be like a good opportunity for me to do it. So I was actually prepping for like, entrance exams, and I was like, okay, I'll go in 2020. But as we all know,
yes, indeed.
As everyone knows what happened in 2020, sadly, there was the pandemic, there was lockdown, and everything got pushed. So I was like, okay, there's no way I can go this year. I'll try for next year. So I was like, okay, I have like a year now. What am I going to do? Like, it's not like I can, like, what is it that I can actually do with myself in this 1 year? And I thought, I was like, okay, oh, and by this point, I'm so sorry I skipped this. By the end of 2019, so I had started sending out like my writing pieces to like various like organizations or magazines. In between, I would just do this just to get feedback to see. Yeah, just to get feedback to see like, what people think and all that. And of course, again, I was getting rejected left, right, center. So I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, okay. So like this, I came across one organization called Platform for Artists, and I happened to just randomly send a poem for an anthology they were publishing. And surprisingly, like 2 weeks later, they got back to me and they were like, hey, we really liked your work and we'd like to publish you.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't take it too seriously, because I was like, okay, like this is like another like thing, whatever. And I sent
it. What did you think? One of your friends was sitting there and like sorting it out for you?
Yeah, no, dude, because I had no idea, no clue as to how publishing works. Okay, so
But I have
didn't
a
know, like,
question. This is just more a self-esteem identity question. Do you feel like you had started dealing with rejection better? Like, do you feel that, okay, you were
yeah.
starting to get more
Oh,
comfortable
yes.
with like, okay, this happens and this is life? Like,
Yes. Oh,
were,
yes. Oh my God.
okay, that's really good to
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that you were processing
Be-
it better. Yeah.
because I think what happened was, and I think I was very fortunate in the sense I met so many people and I got to share experiences. And the more I heard from people what their stories and experiences were like, I was like, oh, this happens to everyone. Why am I behaving like I'm the only person in the world this has
Yeah,
happened to?
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's literally the first thought that came to me. And I was like, okay, like, you know, this happens to everyone. It's fine. You know, deal with it. You'll be fine. So I had definitely gotten much better at dealing with it. And then I got accepted and this was getting published. And I was like, okay. And I was happy, but I didn't make a big deal out of it because I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't know anything about publishing. And then suddenly, like, the next thing I knew when the promotion started and all, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually a big deal. Because I
Yeah.
believe there were like 3,000 people who applied that year, and they only select like 89 people.
Wow.
So that was like a huge moment for me where I was like, I did not expect it, you know, because just thinking of like how many people are possibly way more experienced than I am, who have way more content out there, and I had literally five pieces of poetry on my blog at that point.
Right, right.
So you know, it was like huge for me. I was like, oh, okay, this is new, this is nice. And I remember I connected with a lot of writers because of that anthology, and I got to kind of connect with them. It was great. And then lockdown happened and my plans were put on the back burner, and I was like, okay, you know, maybe I'll write more, maybe I'll focus on writing for a bit. So what happened is, so April is Global Poetry Writing Month every year. It's yeah, so you do one poem a day, so it's like 30 poems in 30 days basically. So I was like, okay, let me,
Wow.
yeah, so I took up that challenge. And I was also a part of a writers group at that point. Like, a friend of mine had started a writers group where she was giving out writing prompts, and you could, like, you know, like write and exchange feedback and whatever. So literally, I think for the whole of April, I was writing 2 to 3 pieces a day, which I think
Wow.
if any writer here knows, that's not a very
This
easy
is
thing.
2020 or 21?
2020.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that was a very pivotal month for me as well. But like, you sound like you did a way more writing than anybody else I know. Continue.
Yeah, so it was crazy. Like, so, and I was like, okay, like, this is fun. And I was like building on my craft, and I was genuinely like, I was learning so much. It was like a self study, I think, for me at that point, because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just like taking in whatever knowledge I could. And it was at this point, so remember my friend from college who asked me to judge a sociology writing event.
Yes, 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 I do.
So she, after like, and we were in touch on and off. So she got back in touch with me this year, like that month, and she was like, you know, hey, I'm working for a non-profit. They're for mental health and, you know, this thing. So she said, you know, would you be interested in taking creative writing workshop? So I was because I was a little apprehensive. I was like, you know, I've never taught before. Are you looking for like a proper professional person to do this? Because I have no experience. So like, I just want to make it clear, because obviously
Yeah.
people shouldn't think like, you know, whatever. And she was very, yeah, because she was very like, no, you will be fine. You do it. Because this is how she pushed me into judging that writing event also, by the way.
Right,
So here
right.
also she's like, no, you do it, you'll be fine. She's like, you do one session and we'll see. And I was like, okay, fine. And I was quite like scared, because I thought I would be a terrible teacher, because my patience is not like, honestly, I feel like I'm not very patient when it comes to, you know, explaining things to people. And I was actually very scared, because I was like, oh my
You
God,
and
what
I,
am
you
I?
and I are the same on patience. So trust me, I feel you. You and I are like right there on like patience. Like, what? No, but I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So
I was really scared,
did
but
you?
I was like, yeah, and I said, okay, fine, you know, I'll do it. Let's see how it goes. Worst case, if I'm bad at it, like, we stop with this one class. I did it. I got like 30 sign-ups, which was like, first of all, like, yeah, I was not expecting that. that itself was like one big, and it was so crazy because
Was
so
this virtual or in person?
it was virtual.
Oh wow, 30 signups is really good. It's
Yeah.
really good.
So I freaked out even more, but I still like, went ahead because I was like, oh God, like now I better do a
Now
good
you can't
job.
back out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And then, so I did the session, and it surprisingly, it went well. And I was like, oh my God, I think I actually enjoyed this. It was literally that. I was like, I think I actually really liked it. And even, the NGO, like they really liked it. And it's so crazy. So I work for this nonprofit called Yellow Club. And at that point, when I did the workshop, they were actually going through a brand change. So they used to be known as, they used to be known as Sound Mind, if I remember correctly. And they're like, we're having a brand makeover. And I was their first workshop as Yellow Club.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was really
That's
like,
a great opportunity as well.
yeah, so
Like it's just the timing of it.
It was really, and then of course, now Yellow Club's doing extremely well, but they do such wonderful work for mental health. I highly recommend, checking them out, especially in these times.
I will.
But they're doing some really like wonderful work, and they're working for the right reasons. And I think for me, that's very important, to work with people who do things for the right reasons. So, it was great, and they liked what I did, and they were like, do you want to do more workshops with us? I said, yeah, sure. And it was great because they gave me complete autonomy. They were like, you decide the format, you do it however you want. We'll give you whatever like support you need, which I think is such a dream for any, I think, creator to get that kind of backing, first of all, from anyone. Sure. So I started doing more workshops like this. And finally in November, I was like, okay, let's do a month-long series of workshops, and and we'll start like, and then I was like, okay, let's charge money for this, let's see. But all the funds will go to Yellow Club, because it was also like, it was also for me to see if people would actually pay to come learn from me. That was the other thing. I was like, let's see what happens now. So anyway, we did it. We got like about 10 signups for like 1 month, which I thought was still good for 1 month. I mean, it's pretty intense.
I mean, it's better than zero money. So I mean, anything is good.
Yeah. So, but oh my God, Anjali, and I was again a little scared because this was a lot more intensive than what I'd previously done. Because I was just doing 1 hour, 2 hour sessions, and now it's like a proper like 1 month course. Like I needed to like really know my shit if I was going to do this. So I really like slogged, like to get those classes.
So like lesson planning and
all
of that stuff.
Yeah. I made sure I was like as thorough as I could be, for sure.
I bet.
And yeah, so and then and funny enough, at that time I also got an opportunity to attend a workshop by Scholastic. So Scholastic does a bunch of workshops for like writers where you can apply and they give you like a test and everything, and then if you're good, they'll select you, and then at the end of their workshop, they like your stories get published in an anthology. So I got selected for that. So I got to like work with 11 other writers, which was amazing. And I have like my first short story coming out soon. It's in post publishing, so hopefully in the next few months it should be out, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, that happened. These classes happened, and I was like, hey, at the end of these the class for Yellow Club, I was like, how about we ask the participants to send in pieces, and we'll put it together as a magazine. So
why not? Yeah.
So Yellow Club was totally on board with it. They're like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. And
is it an e-magazine or like?
Yeah,
it's an e-magazine, right?
An e-magazine. So then even participants were like, that was one of the things we put also at the end of the workshop. You can be a part of a magazine and whatever. Because for me, it was also, I thought, a great way to encourage new talent also, because I think opportunity is something that really lacks for writers. And when I say opportunity, I mean good opportunity, like good platforms, good opportunity, like the right place to showcase your work. So that was the idea of doing that as well. And I was like, of course, it'll be mental health centric, the theme and everything and all that. So, that went, and we got the pieces, but unfortunately the magazine got delayed, which was like another story. Yeah. So it was supposed to come out in like December, Jan, but it got pushed. Like December, like the writers needed more time for their pieces. So I said, yeah, okay, fine. It's better you like send in good
Do
pieces.
you have is there a date in mind that you guys are this thing, or have you shelved it, or what's happening now?
No, it's out. It's out. I must tell you, it's out.
Okay.
But yeah, so like December writers needed more time, so we were like, okay, fine, you take your time. Then in Jan, what happened was, Yellow Club was like, hey, can we push it to like March, because their 1 year anniversary was like they were completing 1 year. So I said, okay, fine, and it got pushed. And then what happened was, we didn't have a designer. There was an issue with design. So thankfully, like really touch wood, thank God, one of the contributors in the magazine was a friend, and she's her name's Megha Vasudevan. I think you know her. I think you might. So okay, so she was one of the contributors, and she's also an amazing graphic designer. So I
love graphic designers.
Oh my God!
Yes. I have new respect for them ever since I've been doing my own social media. So I'm just like, those posters which I created for this event took me like forever.
I can trust me. Like it's an effort.
Yeah.
It is like so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, we need a designer
to kind of help you get the magazine moving and get it done on time.
And she was so like gracious about it, and she was like, yeah, I'll do it, and she agreed to do it pro bono, which was like amazing.
Which is huge,
which is really huge, because I told her, I was like, listen, because it's for a non-profit, like we won't be able to, really afford. But she was very kind. She was like, no, I'll, I have the time, and it's a great project. I'll take it up. And she did such a beautiful job, and I'm so happy. It finally in May, like April 30th, the magazine released. It's called Agnesthesia. I will send you the link. Please go see it.
Yes, I actually saw it. So all of the links that we've been mentioning and whatever, I will send it to me. I'll either put it with this video or I'll put a separate post up, and so everyone who's watched it will know. But I was hoping to kind of start taking questions shortly. So if you can just bring us to like where you're at now, and how, if you could summarize like how writing has helped you kind of discover your identity and maybe be more, wholesome and confident in that.
So I think overall, I think writing's just helped me become better at expressing myself. I think that's the first thing, because I realized it's made me better with communicating, and I think just, expressing my needs and wants and just what I'm feeling. And even just defining what I'm feeling, I think that's what really writing's done for me. And there's just a lot of fulfillment I get from creating something, like just writing something, putting it out. It just like, it's very unparalleled. I really can't explain it. It's just amazing to have something which you've created like on your own, like out there in a creative sense. So
is that the plan now? Like, because we've gone with are we still is Bombay still pending, or are we being a writer, or are you writing a book, or what's going on? Like,
interestingly, I'm currently working with a literary services agency, which is based in Bombay. Of course, it's remote. I'm sitting in Chennai. So it's called Bound. They're a literary services agency, and I had the privilege of like working on one of their newest podcasts. It's called The Book People, which has been trending in India on Apple and in the UK.
Yay.
So which has been amazing. And also recently, I'm also working for this US-based literary magazine called Carve. So I do like fiction reading for them, which is basically evaluations of their short stories that go into their magazine.
Oh, lovely. So we could potentially see this becoming.
It could.
You becoming it, or it becoming you, whichever way.
But I'm really, and I think I have to really give myself credit, because from being the girl who had a 10-year plan to now kind of taking things as they come, I think I've really come a long way in that sense.
100%. I second that to everyone who's been listening, who's currently listening. I completely agree, and I definitely second that. Since the last time I met you to now, it seems like there's definitely been like a huge shift, and just the confidence with which you're just like, okay, I'm okay with the present, and however things unfold, and where your skill sets lie, which is ultimately, and as long as you're confident in being good at what you do, what is it? we know that even the best laid plans in life end up getting scattered here and there. So with that, I'll just start taking a few questions.
Sure.
But let's definitely do a follow-up session on I would like to do boundaries as an episode 2, because I think that that's definitely something that we need to explore, and we'll structure it. So I have a lot from this your fan or childhood friend.
Oh my
so,
God!
I mean, I'm not.
Please
Yeah,
don't take it.
I'm going
It's
to.
stupid
Yeah,
questions.
so I'm just going through. We have a lot of people who have logged in, and then there's how was your lockdown, which I don't think is really connected to what we were talking about. So Sangeetha is awesome. Miles1508 says Sangeetha is awesome. So
Thank
do you
you.
know Miles 1508?
I think it's Miloni. I think that's Miloni. So
Could
thank you,
be.
Miloni.
Could be. And Sushil, there's Nikhil Vijay as usual. I mean, but we have to give him some credit. He says he loves the glasses because he's been very creative. He says you got 97 in the 5th grade and cried. He says vote for Sangeetha. He also says you are ranked number 2 on Bharat Matrimony. Not sure where that came from, but is that true? I mean, if that's true, hey, I mean, major props for that. Is that even a ranking? Is that even allowed?
I have no
don't
idea.
think so. So, yeah, but it looks like a lot of people who love you came here. GK, thank you for joining us. He's a lot of people who are loving the conversation. Nikhil confirms that the hair is real. Thank you for that, Nikhil. Sangeetha herself has confirmed that, but okay. What about something about Kathakali teams? No idea what that is. I don't know. Okay, Roshni Raju is a very close friend of both mine and Sangeetha's, and she's been with us throughout. So, guys, we're going to be taking the wrapping up with some questions, because I do need to make sure that I get an hour of Sangeetha and not more, because otherwise I will be stuck with the nightmare of editing this. And I am not a professional video editor in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, I think we have one.
Oh, yes. Ashini says, do you have a writing routine? Now, that's a question. Ashini rocks. Let me tell you a little bit about Ashini. Ashini is from my digital marketing course. We took a digital marketing course actually in 2017. Even your defining year was also a defining year for Ashini and myself when we took a digital marketing course at Liba together. And she's now a social media pro at a very well-known firm. But
so,
please,
fun
do you have...
Ashini and I are batchmates from college. MOP
oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what a small world this is. And I'm just going on about her like I know. Okay, so you probably know her from way back when. But yeah, she's a great girl.
Yeah, she's great.
But yes, writing routine.
So right now my writing is all over the place. But ideally, how I usually go about writing is I would clock in like a few hours in the morning or either night before going to bed. And at least like 5 to 6 days a week. Even if it's just for an hour, I make sure I write something. Because it's important to do that, because the more you write, the better you get. And even if you can't say even if you don't get the time to really write, I would say read up on resources on writing, like different kind of styles, techniques. That's something I do. I read up a lot on writing, actually, like different styles. So yeah.
So would you say that you're a technical writer, or you're somebody who's developed your own style and flow?
I think I've developed my own style. And I'm far from being technical, because I still think I have so much to learn to be like a proper, technically sound writer, but yeah.
Well, I certainly hope that you write your book, a book coming very, very soon. And guys, it's been a pleasure having you, but we do have to love you and leave you. I'm so glad I got Sangeetha to share her story with me and with you guys, and how we explore identity from so many different lenses on my handle, on my channel, etc. And I think that this is something really, because life experiences are a myriad, and everyone has their own journey, and it's as hard as they experience it to be. And I know that Sangeetha has broken several shackles along the way, and she doesn't do herself enough credit. in sort of telling it as it is. I know it's been difficult, but I think you've done a fantastic job. And would you like to just leave us, letting us know about what Marshmallow Musings is, so you
Oh, yeah.
actually have more followers on that account?
So next time you can accept that request.
I might, we'll see.
Oh my God. So yeah, so Marshmallow Musings is my writing account. That's where I put up everything that's related to writing. So you can go check it out. I have like my link tree there, which has my website, everything. So whatever you need from my writing related. And I have a newsletter. Please go subscribe if you enjoy knowing like random information about books, shows, or even my life. That's something.
Fabulous.
So yeah.
Fabulous. So we'll put all of the links in. What I'll do, Sangeetha, is I'll go ahead and put whatever I have in the description box, and I will be posting this video across all of my handles, guys.
Sure.
Check out Anjali Rajgopal on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and Facebook. Whichever one floats your boat. Different people, different folks, different strokes for different folks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
there are people on Facebook who will refuse to come to Instagram and talk to me, and there are people on YouTube who refuse to come here. So I'm just like, okay, stay where you are. I will put it all out there. And in the meanwhile, send me a list of whatever you'd like me to put out, and I'll do a post, and so everyone can reach you. And you and I will be back in a couple of weeks with episode 2 on boundaries, which may not be writing related, but definitely life related. So,
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a pleasure.